America, the country that started democracy, which is seen as the epitome of democracy, they are now debating whether or not they should allow voters to go and cast their ballot by presenting their ID card, or what is called their voting ID. That is what we describe in Cameroon as voters ID, which is what you need to identify yourself to vote. Now, it is unimaginable and laughable that in America, people go and vote without having to show their voters ID. So the Republicans are saying that it is unacceptable that you come to vote without showing your voters ID, which means that anybody can vote. And they said in previous elections, based on their research, a lot of undocumented immigrants have been voting, and people who are not supposed to vote have been voting because they did not register for their vote. They did not have a voter's ID. Since they don't have their ID card to show that they are the person, so it is imperative that you should have a voter's ID. Now, the Democrats, Kamala Harris, who are the first to give African lessons on how democracy is and should be, are saying that no, anybody introducing voters ID in America is a racist, that you cannot be introducing voters ID in America. That is a racist tendency. Come on. Are we for real? Some of you may think I'm joking. I'll play this video of a senior Democratic fellow, Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I'll play the video where he's trying to convince Americans why they don't need voters ID. In Nigeria, before you go and vote, you must have voters ID. This is a means to reduce illegal voting. Trump says there have been illegal voters, and we have seen it. That to an extent that even a police officer that has served in the US for close to 6 years is arrested for not having valid document for illegally entering the country. If someone can be recruited and it was shown that that person was an illegal immigrant, had not been previously cleared, but who has been working, even a US veteran, a military veteran, was deported to Jamaica, and another one was deported to this country that had earthquake, Haiti, that they had worked for 30 years in active service. They were deported because they entered the country illegally. So Democrats have been saying that no, they don't want voters ID is racist. A country that prides itself as democratic party that don't want free and fair election. Now you want to come and give African lessons. There have been a lot of people who have been undercover who voted illegally. So the Democrats know that. That's why I see the Democrats are pushing for uncontrolled, unchecked immigration, because they know that that is the only people who can vote and who can help them sway the numbers. And that's why Trump is saying that if the simple logic. For you to drive in America, you must have a driver's license, not so? Yes. For you to go and buy alcohol in America, you must prove that you have a valid driver's license. You have you are above 18, right, to buy alcohol. Now, for you to enter America, you must show your passport and your visa, not so. For you to enter a plane, you must show your passport, not so. Why is it so difficult that for you to vote? Why are they fighting that for you to vote? You show your voter's ID. Why? So what's so difficult in it? Because they want to steal the election. Because they know that it's only opening the borders that they can steal the election. But these are the same people who want to come and give us lessons of democracy.
But requiring basic ID in order to vote is really popular. A Pew poll from a few months ago showed 83% of Americans, including 71% of your fellow Democrats, support requiring an ID to vote. Why are they wrong?
I haven't said that they're wrong. We know that states are the ones who are empowered to conduct elections, and every state should be allowed to decide the best way to proceed to ensure that there's a free and fair election. Here in New York, there are, in fact, voter identification requirements. The question is that what Republicans are trying to do is to engage in clear and blatant voter suppression. They know that if there's a free and fair election in November, they're going to lose. In fact, Republicans have been losing every single election since Donald Trump was sworn in January of last year, including most recently decisively in Texas, and of course, losing all across the country, up and down the ballot in the November off-year elections in places like New Jersey or Virginia or New York.
Yeah, and they've been losing. I mean, Virginia is a good example. They have a requirement to show your ID, and Democrats won very, very handily across the way. So why not maybe even just take that off the table and say, okay, maybe not a passport or birth certificate, but show ID?
Well, first of all, every state is empowered to be able to make the decision on their own, and we completely and totally support that. What Donald Trump wants to do is try to nationalize the election. Translation, steal it, and we're not going to let it happen. We stopped them in terms of their gerrymandering efforts, where they were going to try to redraw congressional maps in red states throughout the nation, not expect Democrats to respond forcefully, and try to rig the midterms. They failed. We've stopped Donald Trump from being able to federalize the National Guard, which we believe was probably part of some toxic attempt to unleash troops on American cities all across the nation and intimidate people from voting. And we're going to stop him from nationalizing the election. This is going to be a free and fair election. It's going to be conducted like every other election, where states and localities have the ability to admit.
Vous êtes le futur de notre société. Vous êtes les leaders de demain. Vous êtes les innovateurs de la prochaine génération. Nous sommes là pour vous aider à réaliser vos rêves et atteindre vos objectifs. Bacheliers, devenez les architectes de votre avenir avec l'Institut universitaire du Golfe de Guinée de Douala.
Since 1993, the University Institute of the Gulf of Guinea, it is 3 higher schools, ESG, ISTA, ISA,